In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to set up your attributes so you could sync with one of the integrations that Razor ties into. So what we're going to do, we'll start out by going to your system settings and we will go to Audit Tools. In Audit Tools, you'll choose the integration that you're working with. In this case, I'm going to look at the WipeQ integration. Now, you have a few options here. You can see here, this is configuring the left attributes here on the left as WipeQ, and then it shows your Razor attributes on the right. If you wanted to flip-flop it, which sometimes it'll make it easier because some of the integrations has a tremendous amount of attributes, so you can see here all these various data points can be mapped to Razor. I find it easier on integrations that have a ton of data to start out with Razor to WipeQ. Now this will allow you to set up the attributes a little cleaner. So you can see on the desktops now we have about maybe 35, 40 attributes. So it's a lot smaller than what was previously there. So for each attribute set, you would see them on the right, and you can see, okay, desktops, and then what your goal is to map to the application that you're trying to tie into. So in this case, I'm going to add hard drive size to capacity. So you could go through and check the varying specs, memory speed to memory device speed. So you would have to check the application you're tying into and just ensure the mapping is proper to the mapping that's in Razor for your current attribute set. So we can see here CPU cores maps to processor count, system SKU to chassis SKU. So you could just run through it and make sure everything is working properly. So once done, you could save it. Now I'm going to take a look at hard drives, and you could see, hard drives, we have rotation rate, hard drive bus for hard drive type, firmware, bad sectors, power on hours. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add capacity over here. I think that's pretty good. I mean, we have a lot of data points here. Once done, go to the bottom, hit save. Now, when we go back into the integrations on the audit side, you have a few options. You could start out an audit. In this case, we're working on 58050, and let's say you send over a batch of hard drives into one of the integrations. You could go to Actions, Import Assets. Now, what this is going to do, it's going to show you all assets that have been audited in this chronological fashion here. So when you see a checkbox that it's imported, it's been previously imported into Razor, and you wouldn't be able to do it again. But let's say we wanted to bring in all these assets here. You could do a select all. Potentially you tied them into a lot number. You could do a search up here by the lot number, but in this case I'm just going to hit import new, and we're going to grab those 8 selected items and import them in. So in the background we could see we have 8 new assets that have been imported in. So you can see the capacities filled in, hard drive type, hard drive hours, firmware, caddy included. So all this was pulled in directly from the other application. And you get pretty clean data. Another option you could do, potentially if you started out by scanning the UID. So some of the methods you could do is generate UIDs into Razor, add them into the system. So we could potentially have a blank UID, and let's say you had 50 blank UIDs. You would sticker either your laptops or hard drives, and then in your third-party application you could scan that as a reference number. So when you hit sync assets, after the assets have properly finished, it would update the variables here. Now I didn't have any, I didn't tie this into an asset, but when I refresh the screen, all the data points here are going to have the latest data. So you can see here we're going to bring in a, just for an example, I'll bring in a laptop. So bring in a few of these laptops here, and we'll show you how that works. So when we go down here, we're able to see all the laptop specs are pulled in: 4600U, 2100 megahertz, CPU cores, threads, memory slots, memory size. So it gives you a ton of data, and if you had the hard drive data erased in one of those applications, you can map that back also. So that's how you set up the various integrations.